What have you learned from your audience feedback? The target audience for the Early AM live official music video was 13 to 25-year-old males, which are within the goth, emo, punk subculture. However, I feel that the product can be enjoyed by a female audience, as well as people out of the ages of 13 to 25. This was my imaginary entity, as said by Ayn Ang in 1991. Audiences only exist as an imaginary entity, an abstraction constructed from the vantage point of the institution in the interest of the institution. Audience feedback was a large part of the evaluation and construction process. Clark et al. 2007 said that it is important to carry out regular audience feedback using methods such as ratings collections, questionnaires, and surveys, screen tests. I carried out regular audience feedback. Facebook was useful to gather audience feedback. I made a focus group containing people of the target audience subculture, which were emos, goths, and punks. On this focus group, I put a questionnaire with my initial ideas on, then asked the people in the focus group to fill it out. From doing this, I got multiple questionnaires that were easy to gather conclusions from. The next thing we put on the focus group page were the digipacks. As myself and another member of the group made separate digipacks, we put them both on in order to gain feedback. From this, I took the information that the focus group gave me. Mainly the feedback that I got for the front cover was positive, so there weren't any changes that I needed to make for the front cover. Although if I had got any criticism, then I could have made changes to the digipack as needed. Personally, I made many changes to the front of the digipack so it appealed to the correct audience subculture. The main problem I had with the front cover was the positioning of the text. I finally decided on the text being in a small font in the top right corner. The back of my digipack had more changes that needed to be made. For example, one person suggested that I should have used the same colour scheme as I did the front. This helped me understand what the audience wanted to see. I therefore attempted this change in Adobe Photoshop CS5. However, the sepia effect on the photo didn't look good, so I therefore left it in black and white. I felt that I could still get away with the back being black and white, as it used the tones from the text on the front cover, which was black. The inside of my digipack didn't get as much feedback, although the little that it did allowed me to learn that there weren't any changes that I needed to make it look as good. As I have mentioned, I created a couple of questionnaires throughout the whole process on fluidsurveys.com. This was a useful tool because anyone filling in the questionnaires didn't have to have an account on the website to give me feedback, and therefore gave it anonymously. The questionnaire covered the mise-en-scène and what my focus group thought about these aspects. I used both qualitative and quantitative data within this questionnaire. This let me look at the good and bad points of the video easily, as well as the reasons why they thought it was good or bad. The most useful questionnaire was the one I made for the finished video. This was useful because I could find out what my target audience thought. This would help me improve the video when still editing. Obviously, it was harder to change anything to do with the footage as it would require me to refilm it. For my website, I didn't get that much feedback. However, the band that I created it for liked the website and therefore asked if they could use it for their real website. This was good feedback as I felt it must create the correct connotations because the band themselves know that it creates the correct connotations. Although the methods that we used weren't that successful, our group did get some feedback, however it wasn't enough to make any definite conclusions from. The Facebook focus group was only useful to a certain extent. It depends on people looking and bothering to comment on any of the work that was created. Therefore, I have learned that I need to use different methods of collecting feedback from people in my focus group. Other methods of collecting data would be more useful, such as interviewing people from the focus group. This way they would have to answer the questions because they are in one place. As the group was struggling to gather feedback, we had to think of another way to get the video and questionnaires to the audience. I therefore made an email on the college system and sent it out to every student in college. This was useful because it would enable thousands of people to see the video and hopefully give us feedback on this. There was a risk in that students would just delete the email and not in fact fill out the questionnaire. This happened. We did gain around 4 responses from sending out the email with the video and survey link, although not as many as we hoped for. I learned that to be able to obtain definite audience feedback, then you really need to get your target audience to either want to give you feedback or do it one-to-one where they have no choice but to answer the questions. However, from the responses we gained more positive feedback on the video. Some negative feedback that we got was that the acting from the late band member could be more over-exaggerated. I do agree with this comment. As it was the band's first video, they were obviously not used to what was required of them in the video, and I feel that if these parts were filmed again, then we would have got better results. From this, I learned that when you're directing the video, you need to be very clear with what you want the characters in the video to do. Even if it is improvised, there needs to be a clear outline of what needs to be done to make it more realistic. Another criticism that was useful was the comment on a questionnaire scrub up a bit more. Although quite colloquial, it insists that the band members could have been made up more for the video. In our defence, we wanted to give off this impression of the band, that they weren't too bothered about their appearance and the music was all that mattered to them, as we have a stereotypically unattractive lead singer. We also allowed them to wear their own clothes to the shoot, but we suggested that they wear jeans to keep the indie theme, although the band members could have looked more made up in their faces to make the video seem more professional. I've learned that although I did nothing to create a preferred meaning, whole 1980, sometimes they need to have makeup, styled hair, etc. to make it appear professional. Also, in some of the questionnaires, people have commented on the editing not matching up completely to the music and the lyrics. I would therefore change this when editing again to make it correct. For example, in the guitar solo, it was difficult to edit it so everything matched up, although I tried as best I could. Overall, I feel that I learned a lot from the audience feedback as it gave me a different perspective on my products. It also allowed me to view the products through the eyes of my audience. However, if I could change anything about receiving audience feedback, then I would make a new focus group and interview them face to face about the video. When making another media product, I would definitely take that into account.